Hello everyone, my name is Kid Lee. The Steam Summer Sale is now upon us. It is currently active and is going to run through July 4th. Now people ask me all the time, when these sales hit, are there any games that I recommend? So I went through the list this year and I've come up with 15 games that I'm going to recommend to you. So I'm going to go through all 15 of these games, in no particular order, and then you can decide if it's a game that is worth picking up. Let's go ahead and kick this off with Superhot. The game is currently 20% off at $19.99. This game is really interesting. It's a first-person shooter, and the world around you only moves when you do. So if you want to move at 1 frame per second, that's how the world moves. If you want to move at full speed, that's how the world moves. There are a lot of people out there who have been looking for a shooter that does things very, very different, and this is definitely going to be a game that you'll want to take a look at if you're into shooters, but you're looking for something different. I will most likely be doing a video on this game here in the coming weeks. Transformers Devastation is currently 75% off at $12.49. Now, there's a lot of big Transformer fans out there, like me. You grew up on those 80s cartoons, and it's really hard to find a good Transformers game. There's actually only 3 out there that I'm aware of, this being one of them. This game is actually done by Platinum, who has a really good track record for putting together games that have a good story, high action, and great mechanics, and this game features all of that. In addition, as I mentioned from the 80s cartoon, this game is stylized with pixel shading and that 1980s sort of look for the Transformers. So if you're looking for a good Transformers game, go ahead and grab this one. Stardew Valley is currently 20% off at $11.99. In early 2016, this has been one of the hottest games of the year. There was a really big game that came out many years ago called Harvest Moon, and this game is sort of a better version of Harvest Moon. But if you're one of those people who likes these building and management style games, then this one is going to be right up your alley. You start out with nothing, and you're able to build crops and farms and meet people and get married and really do a deep dive of everything that is in this town and in this village. And this is another game that's on my list where I'll probably be doing some videos on it here sometime in the next couple of weeks and or month. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. This is got sort of the Transformers syndrome a little bit, trying to find a really good game in the Lord of the Rings type universe has been pretty difficult. Early on, many years ago, there were some pretty solid games, but here recently, trying to find a good one has been a little rough. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is an excellent game. It combines the Arkham style of combat with stealth and weapon upgrading systems and a really cool story. The one really big thing that was added to this game was a new system called the Nemesis system, which I've never seen anything like it before in any video game. And it's basically when you're fighting these orcs, they will remember what happens. They will remember the fights. If you end up fighting them and you don't kill them and they escape, they'll remember what happened. If you actually push them into a fire and they get burned, they remember that. And they'll actually sometimes even refer to that if you fight them a second or a third time. And if you are killing higher level orcs, then the lower ones will actually move up and take their place. And it's got the whole orc society in the game, and it's just a really cool system. So if you're a Lord of the Rings fan at all, you should definitely pick up Shadow of Mordor. Darkest Dungeon is 40% off at $14.99. This is a gothic roguelike turn-based dungeon crawling RPG. If you've not heard of this game, I would be a little bit surprised because it's been absolutely huge on both YouTube and Twitch. It actually was in early access for a very, very long time, and even back in the Steam Early Access program, it was a really big popular game. Finally, this year, it got an official release, and ever since they released it, it's still been getting updates, and they've still been adding to this game. This game is fantastic. It's going to be a Game of the Year contender here at the end of the year. I would definitely take a look at it if you're into anything like these roguelike turn-based RPGs. This War of Mine is 75% off at $4.99. Now, this game is a little bit different compared to a lot of the stuff that we play. You know, you're not a big superhero, you're not the big gunman, you're not the big man on campus. In this game, you are a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city, struggling with the lack of food, medicine, the danger from snipers, and hostiles. It's a game that's really about playing it safe, playing it slow, and the emotion of what may or may not happen based on the decisions that you make. This game has received a lot of really, really high remarks, and it's also a game that I'll probably add to my list and do a video on at some point down the road. But yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit different, definitely check this one out. Firewatch is 33% off at $13.39. Now, as you may or may not know, I actually did the full Let's Play on this game, and I really enjoyed it. They refer to this as a walking or a hiking simulator, so it's basically in first person, and you're just there, you know, sort of in the environment, you know, going along with the story. It's very much an interactive story. This game world was very beautiful. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, being out there in the woods and hiking around and just going through the pacing of that story. So if you like the walking or hiking first person, you know, simulation type games, this one should be right up your alley. Divinity Original Sin is 50% off at $19.99. You know, this game, along with several others that I have on my list, have won so many awards, it's sort of unbelievable. But this game is a fantasy RPG. It's very Diablo-esque. The big difference between this game and Diablo is instead of running just one character, you're actually running and designing, creating two characters that go together along in this adventure. But this game it's a beautiful looking game. It's got amazing mechanics and gameplay. And what's really cool is the game actually ships with the editor that created it, allowing players to actually create their own single player and multiplayer adventures and then actually publish them online. So that's sort of taking everything that's sort of in the Diablo style of gameplay and maybe even taking it a step further. But yeah, definitely check out Divinity Original Sin if you like those Diablo-style games. But this one has, you know, perhaps a little bit more depth. Pillars of Eternity is 60% off at $17.99. This game is an older school RPG style game with real-time pause-based tactical combat, similar to a game like Dragon Age Origins. Now, this game is made by Obsidian and Paradox, and when you team the two of them up, they always create really good stuff. But if you're looking for, you know, a game that was created recently but has a lot of those old school RPG elements, this will be the game that you are looking for. And now for something completely different, we have Banished at 66% off at $6.79. This is a village building game with survival elements. So if you like games like SimCity, it's similar to that, except for instead of just building a massive city and managing it, you're actually on a smaller scale with these villagers and these people. And you actually need the people in order to get your resources to build everything you need to build. The people age in real time. They get married, they have families, they have children. And so in addition to that, you're having to manage the resources for the people. You know, do you have enough food? You have to assign people to do fishing and farming and all these other things. So it's like you're working on these survival elements for the people while trying to build up your town at the same time. I did do a first look on this if you want to check it out, but Banished is definitely worth the price at about $6.79. LA Noire is 75% off at $4.99. This is a cop sort of detective drama shooter type game that actually takes place in 1947. Now, it's actually really cool. A lot of the games that you see based in that particular timeline are usually like shooter games and like World War II type shooter games. But this one actually takes place, in California. And when it comes to atmospheres, I think this is one of the best like atmosphere games that I've ever seen. Because in addition to like all your crime stuff, it's like you're driving around cars, you're driving around the city, you're in and out of buildings, and it's just, it's 1947, it's different, it's old school, and it's just a really neat experience overall. And at $4.99, you can't beat that price. Wolfenstein The New Order is 50% off at $9.99. This game has been described as one of the best shooters in the last 10 years. It's received very high praise from a lot of people. And the name in general, Wolfenstein, it has a long series of very highly praised, successful games. So it's definitely going to be one to check out if you're into that franchise or if you're even looking for something new, because this game is new. You don't have to play the other ones to get into this one, because I believe this one is actually set in an alternate timeline. So I'll probably be doing a video or a stream on this one as well down the road. Tales from the Borderlands is 66% off at $8.49. This is actually from Telltale. It's an interactive story that takes place in the Borderlands universe. This actually takes place after Borderlands 2. Now, I've actually been streaming this game the last couple of nights on Twitch. I've had a really, really good time with it. I played Borderlands 1 and 2, and it was really neat just to kind of sit back and do almost like an interactive, storybook kind of game. It's very unusual. These Telltale games are pretty cool, and, now they have a Batman one coming out for 2017, so I'm definitely interested in that. But if you are familiar with the Borderlands story, go ahead and pick this up. You'll get the first, basically it's all of Season 1 for $8.49, so that's a pretty good deal. Transistor is 75% off at $4.99. This game is created by Supergiant Games. They have an amazing track record for putting out really good indie titles, and this one does not disappoint. This game actually has a very unique art style that is one of the prettiest games that I've ever seen. The soundtrack for this game is also very, very impressive. It's a little difficult to describe this game because one of the sort of staples of Supergiant Games is they make games that are very unusual. But the best way I could describe it would be it's a sort of top-down hack and slash kind of, but it also has sort of timing and freeze mechanics and the ability to pre-plan out your attacks and then auto-execute them. Once again, I'm going to say the art style in this game is amazing, and the story is well written as well. So for $4.99, if you want to play something different, check out Transistor. And finally, the last game on my list is indeed something I mentioned before, and that is Dragon Age Origins, the Ultimate Edition, 75% off at $7.45. This is done by BioWare. It was one of their absolutely fantastic, epic RPGs that they created many years ago. The graphics are a little bit dated, but it still is an absolutely fantastic game. If you've never seen it, you've never played it, you've got to pick up Dragon Age Origins, the Ultimate Edition. You're gonna get all the DLCs and everything for that $7.45. That is really, really hard to pass up for an incredible BioWare story experience. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is my 15 recommended games that is on this Steam summer sale. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.